Unfortunately, this isn't 2020 or 2021 anymore, where you can buy properties at the Zillow price and still make an assignment. So what we need to do is we need to shift the seller from price-based thinking, where they're just thinking about their house and us as a commodity, and start getting them into result-based thinking. What do they actually need to accomplish, and how can we help them get there? This is the core pillar of how you can increase your average deal size without doing anything else. No different dispo processes, nothing. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. If you are already subscribed to this channel, you know that all we do is help individual sales reps and companies scale to multiple six figures per month using a proven sales process. And if you aren't subscribed, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We put out new videos every single week, giving you tips to be able to close at a higher rate, be able to scale your business, and much, much more. So today, what I'm going to be talking about is the number one thing that helped my average deal size go from $30,000 all the way to $54,000 in 1 quarter. And it's getting the seller's bottom dollar needs, getting the bottom dollar from the seller. So that way you're not just always fighting on price. And so I'll tell you what's wrong with the traditional way that wholesalers and flippers are trained to get the price is they ask the seller, so how much are you looking to get for the property? And when you ask the seller, how much are you looking to get for the property? Where does their brain go to find that information? They think, well, what's the Zestimate? What are the comparables selling for in the area? What did the realtor tell me that she could sell my house for, or he could sell my house for? Because there's always a realtor in their ear saying that they could get 10% over the market value. We all know that. And unfortunately, this isn't 2020 or 2021 anymore, where you can buy properties at the Zillow price and still make an assignment. Just not possible. So what we need to do is we need to shift the seller from price-based thinking, where they're just thinking about their house and us as a commodity, and start getting them into result-based thinking. What do they actually need to accomplish, and how can we help them get there? This is the core pillar of how you can increase your average deal size without doing anything else. No different dispo processes, nothing. I'm going to walk you through how to do that today. So first, I'm going to show you guys the principles of how to get the bottom dollar needs from the seller. Now, the first thing that we need to figure out is we need to figure out their current state. And with their current state, these are the problems that they're experiencing, how it's actually impacting them. I have tons of other videos that I can link in the description on how to get this problem state. This problem awareness is what we call it. Okay, we need to get their current state. Now, after we do that, we want to get their future state. So think about it like this. The gap, the difference between this current state and future state is called the gap. This is how motivated the seller is going to be. Okay, so if I have, let's say my current state is I'm at a house, I really like the neighborhood, I like everything, and I just want to move next door because the next door house has a slightly better view. The gap between that current state and future state might not be that big, and it's going to be really hard to get those needs and get really bottom dollar needs off of that. So I want to stretch this gap out. This is a big gap, right? This might look like, well, right now, my house, I can barely keep up with the payments. Because of that, it's causing me a ton of stress. But if I were to sell this house, I could buy something much smaller. I could pay it off completely with cash. I wouldn't have to worry about the mortgage anymore. And most importantly, I would be in a better area closer to my kids. Okay, that would be current state and future state. So we need to be able to get that. I have tons of other training videos on how to get that. From there, if you've ever heard this, it comes from me. No one else teaches this inside of our industry or any other industry. This is going to be needs, anchor. I'm going to put anchor right here, and consequence. I'm going to walk you through what that actually means. So the first thing is, once I get their future state, let's call their future state. And I'll give you guys an example. I just got off the phone with the seller earlier this morning, and the seller was behind on payments. Their business wasn't doing as good as it used to. And so what they really want to do is they want to go buy a mobile home. They have a piece of land that they're going to buy from a friend. They're getting a really good deal on it. And if they can sell this house, they can go buy that piece of land free and clear, buy the mobile home free and clear. And then they can help their mom with a few things that she needs. I won't get into too many details here. I don't want to give away their entire life, but their mom needed some things as well. Okay, so I had their current state behind on payments, really stressful. Future state, being able to be relieved, being able to have that sense of freedom that they don't have that mortgage weighing over their head, right? So the first thing I'm going to ask them is a question like this. How much do you feel like you would need in your pocket to be able to? And then I'm going to repeat back whatever this future state is. Okay, this is going to take them away from that price-based thinking of, hey, how much are you looking to get for the house? Well, now they're just thinking about what the house is worth versus what they're they're getting for it, where I want to just solve their needs. So the first question I'm going to ask is, so how much would you actually need in your pocket so that way you could buy that mobile home? And I might even break it up. I'll show you guys a couple different examples of how I've done this. One way that I've done this is I've said, okay, walk me through how much is the land going to cost? Okay, the land's going to cost, $20,000. And how much does a mobile home typically cost for what you guys are looking for? They're like, oh, I don't know. Okay, well, that's not a problem at all. Let me figure that out for you. So what type of mobile home are you looking for? Well, needs to have at least 3 bedrooms. I'm thinking 1,800 square feet. I want to have 2 bathrooms. So we have the kids' bathroom and our bathroom, right? They're going to be looking at things like that. Okay. Once I have that, that's enough information for me to look online and say, hey, look, I found used mobile homes anywhere from $20,000 all the way to $50,000, right? If you get one used for exactly what you're looking at, we're going to have to spend some money to actually get it onto your piece of land, but we can take care of that. All right. So I'm getting the needs. All right. Once I have that, then I might figure out, is there anything else that they need? Right. And on top of the land and on top of, being able to buy the mobile home, is there anything else that you guys would actually need to be able to start this next chapter of your life? Well, my mom really needs XYZ to be able to do A, B, and C. Okay, how much does that cost? That's going to cost, $10,000. All right, so I'm getting those needs. The next thing I do is I anchor on those needs. So I'll tell you guys what a lot of people do wrong when it comes to the anchor. And I'm talking about like really experienced wholesalers and flippers. They still do this, and it's going to turn sellers off. Is what they do is they'll say something along the lines of, I'm seeing other properties in the area sell for XYZ price. If somebody offered you something like that, what would you say at that point? And the problem with that is they assume that that's your offer. And so if you say, hey, well, I'm seeing other properties sell for $200,000, somebody offered you that, what would you say? They're just going to get defensive because they assume that that's going to be your offer. And so what we want to do is we want to do a more realistic anchor. And so once I have those needs, let's say I added up all the needs, it's $100,000 is what they need in their pocket to be able to go to the next chapter of their life. Maybe we can offer 100, maybe we can't. But what I want to do from there is I want to anchor, and I want to say, okay, well, let's say that, we get a bunch of offers and all of the offers come in lower than that. Like, I don't know, they come in around like 75, 80,000. Would you still be able to buy the land and maybe buy a $40,000 mobile home versus the 50,000, right? I might ask a question like that. And I can also ask a question like, would that put you in a better position than you are now? So I'm going to anchor based off of that. So I'm not going to just say, let's say that all the offers came in at XYZ. Would you just tell them to kick rocks? I want to tie that to a result. How could they still get the end result that they're looking for with the money that we have on the table? So I'll write that out for you guys to show you what an anchor would look like. We're going to say something along the lines of, let's say the offers come back lower. And important note here, I don't want to say, let's say my offer comes back lower, because that leads them to say, well, I would just go to other companies. So let's say all the offers come back a bit lower, right? Then we're going to go anchor, however much lower we need to be under our MAO, like XYZ price. Could you still, and then we're going to repeat back the result that they're after. Okay. Now there's a million different examples that I could show you guys on how to get needs anchor consequence. This isn't a straitjacket. And the reality is most sales conversations don't go the exact same way every single time. So you need to have multiple ways to ask this question. That's actually why we have our school community, where we have weekly calls every single week where you can role play different scenarios. You can submit your call reviews. You can do all sorts of things inside the community. We have hour-long trainings on each phase. So we have an hour-long training just on needs anchor consequence. We've also got about 200 other wholesalers and flippers doing anywhere from, getting their first deal all the way to the big dogs doing like $6 to $7 million a year. We have all of that inside of our school community. And so if you feel like you need more training with this, I would go check that out. I'm going to drop a link inside of the description. But without further ado, I'm going to continue on with the training to show you guys the basics of how to get this information. So once I do needs, I do the anchor. What sometimes happens, I don't have to consequence every single time, but what sometimes happens is the seller says, well, that wouldn't be enough, right? And so what I can do there is I can ask a consequence question, right? And so I would ask them, okay, well, what would you do at that point? They're like, I think I would just try to figure it out. Okay. Then I'm going to say something along the lines of this. That's definitely an option that's on the table. I want to disarm that. That's on the table. Have you considered what would happen happen if you did XYZ and ABC problem got worse, right? So what that sounds like is this. Yeah, and keeping it is definitely an option that we have on the table. I guess, have you considered what would happen if you did keep it? The mortgage payments piling up, God forbid the attorney fees pile up on top of the mortgage. Then in 2 to 3 months, you're in an even worse position than you're at now. Have you considered that? Sellers going to think about it. They're going to be like, well, yeah, that would suck. And do you want to settle for that if you didn't have to? Well, no, I don't want to settle for that. Okay, so can you think of a way that you would be able to still get ABC result with the money that we would have on the table? Now they're starting to think about other ways that they can still accomplish the result just with a smaller price. Okay. And that's getting people from price-based thinking into result-based thinking. Again, this one shift almost doubled our average deal size by getting the seller bottom dollar needs instead of thinking about what's your house worth or how much are you looking to get for it. Their brain just goes to the highest price possible. So if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want more training like this, check out our school community. I'll put it in the link below where you guys can get training just like this and much more depth. I'll talk to you guys soon. See you guys on the next video.